Every 40 seconds, someone in the United States suffers a stroke, and women face a significantly higher risk. The key to survival? Recognizing the signs the moment they appear. In this video, we'll reveal the 10 most critical warning signs of a stroke in women. But here's what makes it urgent. The first 5 signs don't even look like a stroke. The next 5 signs are missed by over 80% of people. This is the kind of knowledge that could mean the difference between life and death, for you or someone you love. Don't miss it. Number 1. A thunderclap headache. Most of us are familiar with ordinary headaches. They can come from stress, a sleepless night, or even a change in the weather. These headaches usually start as a dull ache and build up slowly, giving us time to notice and maybe take a pain reliever. But the headache we're talking about here is completely different. It's not your average headache. Doctors call it a thunderclap headache, and the name perfectly describes what it feels like. Imagine one moment you're perfectly fine, and the next, an explosive, severe pain hits you as if a bolt of lightning went off inside your skull. This pain doesn't build up. It's sudden and immediately reaches the most intense level of pain you've likely ever experienced. It's the kind of pain that makes you stop everything you're doing, a pain so overwhelming you can't think about anything else. It might be accompanied by a stiff neck, nausea, or sensitivity to light. What makes it so dangerous is that it's a classic sign of a serious type of stroke called a hemorrhagic stroke. This happens when a weak blood vessel in the brain ruptures, causing blood to leak into the surrounding brain tissue. The horrific pain you feel is from the sudden increase in pressure inside the confined space of your skull. In this situation, many people's first instinct is to reach for an aspirin or ibuprofen. Please listen carefully. Do not do that. Taking a blood-thinning medication like aspirin can make the bleeding much worse. This is not the time for self-treatment. This is a medical emergency of the highest order. If you or a loved one suddenly experiences a severe headache like this, don't wait a second. Pick up the phone and call 911 immediately. Number 2. Sudden, unexplained nausea or vomiting. When we suddenly feel nauseous or start to throw up, our brains immediately search for a familiar reason. Was it the potato salad from the picnic? Or maybe a stomach bug that's going around the neighborhood? These are perfectly natural thoughts. But there's another scenario we need to be aware of, especially when these symptoms appear suddenly and without any other digestive issues. One moment you feel perfectly fine, and then out of nowhere, a wave of intense nausea hits you, perhaps leading to vomiting. You don't have a stomach ache. You don't have other signs of the stomach flu. It simply comes out of the blue. This can be a subtle sign of a stroke in progress, particularly a stroke affecting the back of the brain, like the cerebellum or brainstem. These areas play a key role in controlling our balance and coordination, and they also have centers that can trigger the vomit reflex. When a blood clot cuts off the blood supply to this area, it can scramble the signals, making your brain think something is wrong and triggering nausea as a protective response. The greatest danger with this symptom is mistaking it for something else. You might spend precious hours resting, sipping ginger ale, and waiting for the stomach bug to pass, while in reality, brain cells are dying from a lack of oxygen. So pay attention to the context. If this nausea and vomiting comes on suddenly, and especially if it's accompanied by dizziness, loss of balance, or vision problems, you must not treat it as a digestive issue. You must treat it as a potential neurological warning and call for emergency medical help immediately. Number 3. Extreme and sudden fatigue. We all know what it feels like to be tired. It's the exhaustion after a long day of gardening or the grogginess after a poor night's sleep. We understand that feeling, and we know that rest will help. But the fatigue brought on by a stroke is an entirely different experience. It isn't just tiredness. It's a profound, debilitating exhaustion that comes on suddenly and without any explanation. Picture this. You're sitting in your favorite chair reading a book, and then suddenly an overwhelming wave of fatigue washes over you. It's not a sleepy feeling. It's a complete loss of energy, so much so that lifting your arm to turn a page might seem like an impossible task. You might feel heavy, as if your body has been drained of all its strength, and the feeling doesn't get better even if you try to rest. It's unlike anything you've felt before. The reason for this sudden exhaustion lies in the energy crisis happening inside your brain. The brain is a very energy-demanding organ. When a stroke cuts off blood supply, the brain goes into survival mode. It redirects all available resources to try and keep essential cells alive, leaving your body with virtually no energy left. The biggest danger here is dismissal. Women, especially those used to caring for others, are prone to brushing this symptom off. They might tell themselves, "Oh, I'm just overworked," or "This is probably just my age." But such a sudden and profound shift in your energy level is never normal. If this fatigue hits you out of the blue and is debilitating, especially if it's accompanied by any other new symptom on this list, it is a red flag. It's your body sending an SOS signal. Listen to it. Number 4. Sudden vision problems. As we get older, we almost expect our vision to change slowly over time. Maybe we need to hold the newspaper a little farther away to read it, or we need a new pair of glasses to see road signs clearly at night. These changes happen gradually, over months or even years. But the kind of vision problem linked to a stroke is completely different. It's not a slow fade, it's a sudden and shocking event. Imagine you're looking out the window, and all at once, the vision in one eye is just gone, as if someone pulled down a window shade. Or perhaps you suddenly start seeing two of everything, a condition called double vision. Everything in your field of view suddenly has a ghost image next to it. It could also be a sudden and severe blurriness, not the kind you can fix by blinking or rubbing your eyes, but a persistent haze that makes it impossible to focus on anything. These symptoms happen because a stroke is disrupting the brain's complex visual processing system. Your eyes might be perfectly healthy, but the information they're sending can't get to the brain's vision center, which is located in the occipital lobe at the very back of your head. A blood clot could be blocking one of the crucial vessels that power that area. The natural reaction to a vision problem might be to think about making an appointment with your eye doctor. But this isn't an eye problem, it's a brain problem that is happening right now. Any sudden, severe, and unexplained change in your vision, whether it's vision loss, double vision, or a sudden blur, is an emergency. Do not wait to see if it goes away on its own. Call 911. Number 5. Sudden dizziness or loss of balance. Dizziness is one of the trickiest symptoms because it's so common and can be caused by many different things. Maybe you stood up too fast, you're a bit dehydrated, or it's a side effect of a medication you're taking. However, the dizziness caused by a stroke often has a very different character. It's usually not a simple feeling of lightheadedness or wooziness. Instead, it's often an intense form of dizziness called vertigo. This is the feeling that the room, or you yourself, are spinning uncontrollably, much like you've just stepped off a merry-go-round. This sensation can be so intense that you can't stand up straight. It's often accompanied by a sudden loss of balance. You could be walking normally through your house, and then suddenly you find yourself grabbing for the wall or furniture to keep from falling. You might feel as if an invisible force is pushing you to one side. This symptom is particularly alarming because it often points to a stroke occurring in the cerebellum, an area at the back and lower part of the brain. The cerebellum is the body's coordination center. It controls our balance, our ability to make smooth, coordinated movements, and our spatial awareness. When a blood clot blocks blood flow to this vital area, it's like shutting off your internal stabilizer. Everything goes haywire. Because dizziness is a familiar feeling, many people might make the mistake of just sitting down and waiting for it to pass. But if this dizziness comes on suddenly, is severe, and especially if it makes you unable to walk normally, or is accompanied by any other symptoms like a headache, nausea, or vision problems, it is an extremely serious sign. It's your body signaling that its command center for balance is in jeopardy. We've discussed the subtle signs that can be mistaken for other issues. Now we're going to talk about the classic symptoms, the most well-known signs of a stroke. These are the warnings that, when they appear, leave little doubt about what is happening. It is the sudden numbness or weakness on one side of the body. To understand why this happens, think of your brain as a command center split into two halves or hemispheres, left and right. Incredibly, the right hemisphere of your brain controls the left side of your body, and the left hemisphere controls the right side. When a stroke damages one side of the brain, the command signals to the opposite side of the body get cut off. This results in sudden weakness or paralysis. It can show up in your face. You might try to smile, but only one side of your mouth will lift, while the other side droops, unmoving. It can show up in your arms. If you try to hold both arms out in front of you, one arm will stay put, while the other, without your control, will slowly drift downward. It can also affect your leg, making you unable to stand steady or causing you to drag your leg when you try to walk. The feeling might be just numbness, like the pins and needles sensation when a limb falls asleep, but it doesn't go away. Or it can be a profound weakness that makes it impossible to hold a cup of coffee or stand on your own 2 feet. These are unmistakable signs. They are the clearest message your body can send that a major brain event is underway. There is no other explanation for such a sudden loss of function on one entire side of the body. If you or someone else experiences these symptoms, the time to act is immediately. Number 7, sudden confusion or trouble communicating. Of all the incredible things the human brain can do, language is perhaps one of the most remarkable. The ability to form thoughts into words, to understand what others are saying, and to communicate clearly is the foundation of how we connect with each other. When a stroke strikes the language centers of the brain, this ability can be suddenly and frighteningly disrupted. Imagine you're in the middle of a conversation, and suddenly, the words you want to say just won't come out. You know exactly what you want to say, but there seems to be a disconnect between your thoughts and your speech. Or maybe, the words that do come out are a jumbled mess, with words mixed up or nonsensical, making it impossible for others to understand you. This is a condition called aphasia. It doesn't just affect speaking. You might also suddenly find you can't understand what someone else is saying. Their words might sound like a foreign language, even though you know they're speaking English. Or you might have trouble reading or writing, tasks you previously did with ease. A stroke can also cause a state of general confusion. You might suddenly feel disoriented, not knowing where you are, what day it is, or you might fail to recognize familiar faces. This is not ordinary forgetfulness or a senior moment. It's a sudden and profound change in your cognitive function. These symptoms can be extremely frightening and bewildering, both for the person experiencing them and for those around them. If you notice someone is suddenly struggling to speak a clear sentence or seems unusually confused, try a simple test. Ask them to repeat a short phrase like, "The sky is blue." If they can't do it, that is a serious warning sign. Before we go on, if you're finding this video helpful, please consider subscribing to our channel. Number 8. Sudden trouble walking. Walking is an act that most of us take for granted. It's far more complex than we realize, requiring constant coordination between the brain, nerves, and muscles to maintain balance and move forward. When a stroke disrupts this intricate system, our ability to walk can be affected suddenly and dramatically. It might start with the feeling of dizziness we discussed earlier, but it's more than that. You might suddenly feel like your legs won't obey your commands. You may stumble repeatedly for no apparent reason, or feel like you have to walk with your feet spread wide apart to keep your balance. Your gait might become unsteady, staggering like someone who is intoxicated, even when you're completely sober. You might suddenly find you need to hold on to walls or furniture to get from one room to another, something you did effortlessly just moments before. One of the most alarming signs is a drop attack. This is when one or both legs suddenly lose all strength without any warning, causing you to collapse to the ground. This happens when the signal from the brain to the muscles in the legs is completely cut off. It's easy to blame something like this on clumsiness or a slippery floor. But a sudden change in your ability to walk is never just clumsiness. It is a sign that something is wrong with the neurological system that controls your movements. It could be the result of a stroke, affecting your cerebellum, brainstem, or the motor pathways in your brain. If you or someone else suddenly has trouble walking, treat it as a serious symptom. Don't try to walk it off. Sit down in a safe place and call for emergency medical help. Number 9, a brief loss of consciousness. Of all the symptoms we've discussed, this may be the most frightening, a sudden and brief loss of consciousness, often called fainting or passing out. One moment, you are standing or sitting, and the next, the world goes black and you collapse. This isn't a feeling of lightheadedness or dizziness. This is a complete shutdown of consciousness, even if it only lasts for a few seconds or a minute. When you come to, you may feel confused, with no clear memory of what just happened. Many people might confuse this fainting spell with other common causes, such as low blood pressure, dehydration, or a heart issue. And while those things can certainly cause fainting, when it happens in the context of a stroke, it carries an extremely serious meaning. A loss of consciousness can point to a very large stroke or a stroke in a strategic location, like the brainstem. The brainstem is a critical part of the brain. It acts as the relay station for all signals coming to and from the body, and it also contains the centers that control our most vital functions, including consciousness. A disruption of blood flow to this area, even a temporary one, can cause the entire system to power down. What's so dangerous is that after waking up, a person might feel relatively normal. They might feel a bit shaky or confused, but they might assume the danger has passed. In reality, that fainting spell was a massive warning sign, a signal that the brain experienced a critical lack of blood and oxygen. The stroke could still be in progress, or the risk of another one could be very high. Any sudden loss of consciousness, even if it's very brief, requires immediate medical evaluation. Never assume it was just a simple fainting spell. Number 10. The most important sign. It's time to call 911. We've covered 9 critical warning signs. From sudden confusion to crushing headaches, from slurred speech to weakness on one side. But now, we arrive at the most vital sign of all. And here's the twist. It's not a symptom, it's an action. The 10th sign is this. You must call 911 immediately. Because all the knowledge in the world means nothing if it isn't followed by urgent response. In stroke care, there's a saying every doctor and nurse knows by heart. Time is brain. Every minute a stroke goes untreated, up to 2 million brain cells are lost. These aren't just cells. They're the parts of you that remember your children's names, control your voice, your balance, your independence. They don't grow back. Once they're gone, they're gone. In moments of crisis, hesitation is human. You might think, let's wait and see. I don't want to make a fuss. Maybe it'll pass. But here's the truth. It's always better to overreact than to regret. Emergency responders are not bothered by a false alarm. They're trained for it. But they can't turn back the clock. When you call 911 at the first sign of a stroke, you launch a chain of life-saving events. Paramedics begin treatment en route. Hospitals prepare specialized stroke teams before you even arrive. That's why this final sign is not about what you feel. It's about what you do. So if you spot any of the warning signs, in yourself or in someone else, don't drive to the ER. Don't wait to see a doctor. Don't hope it goes away. Call 911 right now. Your decision in that one moment could mean the difference between recovery and lifelong disability, or even death. Stay with us for more vital insights on stroke prevention, early detection, and the science that could save a life, maybe even your own.